Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And as you can see, we have regrets today from Mayor Rod Gilroy. He's unable to be with us today. I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular council meeting Wednesday, January 28, 2026, here at our municipal building here in Upper Nepean. We'll start with the territorial acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I also would like to mention before we get started, you probably noticed our flags are at half-mast, and we've had a long-standing MLA, Ernie Fage, pass away yesterday, and we send our condolences to the family and friends, many friends that he has in the county, and I'd like to maybe just take a second just to have a moment of silence. Thank you. So we'll get right into Section 2, Administrative and Procedural Issues. We'll start out with the agenda. Everybody's seen the agenda. Is there any additions or omissions to the agenda? What? No. Okay, seeing none, is the agenda, we'll ask for someone to approve the agenda. Councillor Lockhart, second by Councillor Lee. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. 2.2, Declaration of Conflict of Interest. As per our Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, members are required to declare a conflict of interest prior to any discussion on the matter. 2.3, Approval of Minutes. Motion that the minutes of December 17th, 2025 regular council and the January 21st, 2026 special council meeting be approved. I look for Councillor Hotelling and second by Councillor Fromm. Any questions? Any errors? None? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. 2.4, Business Arising. We'll ask the CAO, Mr. Harrett, to go over the items.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pretty brief presentation today. The business arising is at pages 11 and 12 of Council's information package. The items from the January 21st special council meeting are complete, and that was essentially the implementation, the bylaws required to implement the intermunicipal agreement between Town of Amherst and the county with respect to sewer in the Amherst area. There are a number of ongoing items. The Swan Creek Protected Wilderness Area is still ongoing, and we are waiting to hear from the province of Nova Scotia on that, and we haven't to date. Number of items are complete. Second reading to amend the public sewers bylaw, a demolition of a property at 1703 Highway 242 in River Hibbert, demolition of a property at 103 Water Street in Pugwash, and those are all complete. And if you've driven through Pugwash lately, you would be struck by the change in the streetscape on Water Street for sure. The execution of documentation for the sale of lands at Amherst Point to Environment and Climate Change Canada is ongoing. I think we're just drafting the agreement of purchase and sale. And the declaration of a portion of Lambs Hill, of property off of Lambs Hill Road in Parsboro as surplus, and the sale of that property is also ongoing. Just a couple of wrinkles to iron out. The 5-year lease agreement with the RCMP in Spring Hill is complete, as is the distribution of the audit committee policy as amended, and as is the Advocate District Development Association's approval to receive donations and issue tax receipts on their behalf with respect to their project. Still outstanding is the River Hibbert project with respect to the fire department and the related issue of establishing some sort of public water supply along with that fire department in that community. So happy to answer any questions that you or anyone else might have, Mr. Chair.
Is there any questions from anybody? Seeing none, looks like you're off the hook easy today. 2.5, Public hearing and presentations, we have no public hearing or presentations today. Section 3, strategic priorities issues, there is none on the agenda today. Number 4, major organizational items, again, none on the agenda. Number 5, organizational policy and bylaw items. All kinds here today, and we've got Kira Norgan here with us to help present the first one. 5.1, second reading of bylaw to amend the MPS 25-12 and the bylaw to amend the LUB 25-13 to redesignate 40 Chapel Street, Spring Hill. And I'll leave it to you. Thanks.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Council. The application before you today, it's the same application that you've seen at the public hearing, first reading. It's the application to redesignate and rezone 40 Chapel Street from institutional to the mixed-use zone. The details, as I mentioned, they haven't really changed. So the site of 40 Chapel Street is known locally as the former St. John the Baptist Church. In 2024, the land was deconsecrated and deregistered, and worship services were moved to another property. This was because the cost to maintain the large building became very big with the dwindling congregation size. It became a big financial burden for the parish itself. The property itself has served as a cultural pillar to the community as well as an important architectural asset. The current owner is looking to redevelop and retrofit the building to create affordable rental units as well as some light commercial uses. The owner is looking to retrofit the building to allow for up to 14 affordable units. Under the proposed rezoning, under the proposed zoning of the C-Mix zone, the allowance would be 15 units by site plan agreement. Anything more than that, they would require further planning processes. But all of that would be, everything the applicant is looking to propose would be permitted under the site plan approval process. The owner is also proposing some light commercial uses, such as some rental commercial units to support the ongoing maintenance of the building. The idea would be the commercial units would be to support local retail or provide studio space for local artists or office space for local professionals. The idea is it wouldn't be an obnoxious commercial use that would generate high traffic. It should be something that would fit in with the community. The specifics regarding the number of residential units to affordable units to commercial units, it is, there is a potential for that to vary based on the funding awarded to the owner. They still are undergoing the process of applying and receiving that funding. So once that has been released, they'll be able to have a better idea on the number of affordable units to regular residential units to commercial units. The owner is also very dedicated in maintaining the architecture and the architectural elements of the building. They're looking to maintain the brick facade as well as much of the stained glass as they're realistically able to maintain because of the required renovations to retrofit the building. There may be certain pieces that may not be able to survive the actual construction process, but as much as they're able to maintain, they're looking to maintain that. They would be required to update the entrances to allow for accessible entrance and exit of the building. So we have the proposed change. In order to allow the rezoning from the institutional zone to the mixed-use zone, we would need to undergo a designation change. It's currently designated as residential. We would need to redesignate the property for commercial. once that property is redesignated, we can apply the mixed-use zoning to the parcel as opposed to the institutional zoning. There is an alternate path of development for the proposed project as opposed to rezoning the property to the mixed-use zone. It could be rezoned to the multi-unit residential zone, which wouldn't require an MPS amendment, but the actual permitting process would require a development agreement for the proposal, which means the owner would have to have a lot more of the fine details finalized at an earlier stage, which doesn't give them a lot of ability to respond to funding that may become available to them. So, as staff, we're recommending the mixed-use zone route because that allows for more flexibility towards their building plans at the permitting stage. Because it's undergoing a site plan approval, it does still go out to adjacent property owners within 100 meters. So they do still have the ability to appeal to council if they're not okay with the site plan and they feel they want to appeal it. So they do still have that ability. For community engagement, as the rezoning would require a designation change under the MGA, we're required to hold a public information meeting. That was held on October 21st, which was prior to the first reading. That helped us inform the direction on how we want to recommend to council. We had one person attend that meeting, and they were looking to gain more information on the project as a whole. They left the meeting feeling satisfied with the level of attention that both the municipality and the owners paying to the project. The public hearing was held on December 17th, and no comments from the public were received prior to the public hearing, and there were no representatives who spoke at the public hearing. So all the comments from the public have been received and submitted to council at this point. For the financial implications, there are no direct implications or costs to the municipality. Any upgrading that would be required for the structure to connect to our municipal system is the responsibility of the owner. And the Director of Public Works has been on site to discuss requirements for establishing that connection, as well as to discuss any stormwater management that would be expected for the property. So they have also been helping out with the environmental. There are no real environmental implications further from stormwater management. As I mentioned, it is serviced by the central system, so there wouldn't be a requirement for septic or wells. So yeah, the recommendation is before council, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Kara. So we have a recommended motion that council approve second reading of the bylaw to amend the municipal planning strategy 25-12 to redesignate PID 25224874 40 Chapel Street, Spring Hill, from residential to commercial, and bylaw to amend the land use bylaw 25-13 to rezone PID 25224874 40 Chapel Street, Spring Hill, from institutional zone to mixed-use zone. Do I have a mover? Councillor Strong, and second by Councillor Lockhart. Any questions? You must have done a really good job, because we usually have questions for Glenn when he does this stuff, so. Thank you. Seeing no questions, all in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. 5.2, first reading bylaw to amend the LUB 26-01 to rezone 150 Junction Road, Spring Hill. And Mr. Glenn Boone is going to lead us in this one, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can't let Kira have all the fun. Just get the slides up here. New application that Kira and I have been reviewing. This is a site that I think some members of council have been informed on. So this is the first reading stage, so we'll just give some basic details, and then council's pleasure will get a little more detail should it extend itself to a public hearing. So this is the former NSLC site along the Junction Road. The applicant is looking to put self-storage on the site, so it's currently mixed-use zone, which does allow some commercial development. However, Mr. Chair and members of council, it does not permit the self-storage facility. So we're looking at doing a rezoning to the general commercial zone, or the CGen zone. And we looked at that option versus industrial zoning, which it is adjacent to, based on the fact that it is on the main road, and industrial would open up far more options that may not be as palatable to the local community and the neighborhood. So, simple site plan. Initially, the development is looking at 2 storage facilities, but there'll be an opportunity for expansion in the future should there be success in the business. I think this is an opportunity for the community and a much-needed service. So staff has been supportive, but have been detailed in our review. 2 buildings to start, 20 by 80, with individual units in them. Required parking is detailed in the land use bylaw, so we would address the parking. The details are in the slides and in the report. And commercially designated areas. So the adjacent zones are mixed use already, mixed use zone, sorry, C-mix, and urban industrial. So there's already industrial lands that are attached to this, and we want to just take it into the commercial zone, Mr. Chair, as I noted earlier. So great location in respect to this type of development. Not far from the connector, very accessible from the community, and just kind of on the outside of the areas that are zone C-mix or mixed use zone, but enough of a distance, I think, that this kind of use would be well buffered and well filtered away from the residential homes that are quite a piece up the street. So this gives you a little perspective. It's a relatively flat section of road, so good access for driveways, and we have had some of that looked at with our Director of Public Works. So this is just showing the zoning amendment on in respect to the zoning map. So you can see the industrial is the deeper purple, and then immediately adjacent right now it's C-mix. That whole stretch is C-mix, but at this point we're recommending general commercial, which is all within policy to do so. So big implication review here is if council approves the first reading, we'd move to public hearing, and we would do that advertisement all in accordance with the section under the Municipal Government Act. So we do notices on the website. We are still doing some circulation in the paper, and we always put a planning notice sign on the property because it tends to generate a lot more visibility and discussion, and often Kira will get calls based on that sign as much as anything. No environmental implications, concerns. Water and sewer services are available at this site. However, a connection at this point is not proposed because they would not have any office or staff on site, so there would be no requirement for a washroom. Should that be required in the future development, that will all transpire through that permitting process, but we have had our Director of Public Works review it in general. Services are available, water and sewer both. No direct financial implications or costs to the municipality, same with any commercial development. Obviously, opportunity to expand commercial tax base should the project go forward. So, Your Worship, the recommendations before you, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. The recommended motion is that council approve first reading of the bylaw to amend the land use bylaw 26-01 to rezone PID 25244914 150 Junction Road, Spring Hill, from mixed use zone to general commercial zone, and to schedule a public hearing. I have a motion. Councilor McCormick and Councilor Lee. Second. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. 5.3, first reading, bylaw to amend the land use bylaw 26-02 to rezone a portion of PID 25144049 3544 Colbeck Road, Port Howe. And Mr. Boone is with us again to present.
Thank you, Your Worship. Deputy Mayor and members of council. This application you may see in your package has been with us for a little while, but Kira has been working diligently and reviewing the file with me to get additional information before we brought it forward to council. So just want you to understand that this application has taken a while to get here, but there was reasons in behind the delay and what you might see in the report. So this is a first reading again. I want to introduce the project to council and talk about the changes that are required in order to facilitate this development. So this is a property that is located in, the larger parcel is located on River Phillip, and it's immediately adjacent to what is a tributary that feeds into River Phillip and not far from the bridge at Eel Creek, to put it in perspective. The area that they're proposing here is for a commercial recreation use, which would be a campground, and it's looking at changing from agricultural zone to the commercial rec because that is the required zone that we feel fits the best, and the agricultural zone does not necessarily permit the use, or does not permit the use, Mr. Chair. So a little bit of perspective on location, and this is a portion of the pit only that we're looking at rezoning, and it's primarily the area that's an open field now, with some changes being proposed. So this is a conceptual site plan only. What's thought by the applicant is to look at doing 5 campsites just to initiate the development. We've made it pretty clear that we're only looking at rezonings where we know they're going to have a common washroom facility if they don't have individual sewer and water connections to the campsites. There's a lot of folks talk about off-grid camping, but the challenge we have with that is if there's no way to dispose of your sewage and there's not access to a washroom and shower facilities, where does the affluent go when people leave the site? So we've been pretty open about that approach, and we've had other applications in front of council that we've made the same statements before. So we're being consistent with that. In order to to bring this forward, we have asked for this. I guess it's a conceptual site plan to start, Mr. Chair. And obviously, things get more detailed at the development agreement stage should the application proceed. One thing I will note is that on this larger parcel, you can see the access road to the top, just above where it says potential future growth area. That access road goes into 3 other residential properties in the back that are on the river. They're all individual lots. But we have asked the applicant to look at that roadway from a number of perspectives. So one key point is access. So that particular road, which you see to the lower right, is actually quite close to a sharp turn in the road, and so we have asked them to get that review with Nova Scotia Public Works to see if it can be utilized as a commercial driveway. If not, they'll look working with Nova Scotia Public Works. We've already connected them, and Kira has been following up to make sure that work is done. We've asked them to get some indication of where that driveway would go in advance of the public hearing or second reading of this application. So our concern is that location. We'll let the expertise of Public Works address it, but the applicant has a lot of frontage that they can work with to move the driveway if necessary. So simply, again, the larger PID you can see, but we're only looking at rezoning the commercial rec section that's shown as brown from the AG zone. I will note that there is a flood hazard zone in this area and that the rezoning would not go outside of the agricultural zone, so that's why the rezoning has a very finite and a very detailed line that follows that flood hazard zone, so we're not within that flood hazard zone for any of this rezoning whatsoever. So the implications here, Mr. Chair, community engagement, again, if council decides to go forward in first reading, we'll arrange for the public hearing and we'll do the notices as per our normal process and in connection with the Municipal Government Act. From an environmental perspective, the property is located adjacent to River Phillip, so we would always have our setbacks 15-meter buffer from the river's ordinary high water mark, but the proposed campground is not located within the buffer, and as I already mentioned, we'd be keeping it outside the flood hazard zone in this rezoning anyways. Services is not required for each individual campsite. There are no provincial standards for campgrounds currently, Mr. Chair and members of council. But as I noted earlier, that we are going to require that there would be a washroom facility on site, and that the applicant intends to develop and build a communal washroom for the campground, provide engendered washroom facilities in accordance with Nova Scotia building regulations. So prior to holding a public hearing, the applicant is required to initiate that approval with Nova Scotia Environment, and it's most likely they're going to have to engage what we call a QP2, so an advanced designer for that system. And as I mentioned earlier, we have them working with Nova Scotia Public Works on the driveway access. So, Mr. Chair, no direct financial implications to the municipality. The rezone portion of this lot would be reassessed to some commercial development, and that would likely require in higher property tax revenue. So the recommendation, is before you, and I'm happy to answer any questions once council has addressed that.
So the recommended motion is that council approve first reading of bylaw to amend the land use bylaw 26-02 to rezone a portion of PID 25144049 from agricultural zone to commercial recreation zone, and to schedule a public hearing. Can I have someone to move that? Councilor Redmond, second by Councilor Hotelling. Any questions? Again, I see none, and I attribute that to the amount of work your department puts into these presentations. It's a great job and a lot of work, and we appreciate it. So, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 5.4, Grants Policy 15-1 Amendment. Mr. McCracken, Deputy CAO, is going to lead this discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff have provided, as you're aware, a discussion paper, and we've had further discussions from that discussion paper on recommended changes to the grants policy and guidelines. The policy was presented in draft, some changes to it last week at the Committee of the Whole. I guess a real quick overview is we're recommending some new grant categories, and with those proposed changes, council would still approve, the budget for the grants, but there'd be new categories, and there'd be some of those categories, some of those grant programs would, some of the authority to make decisions would rest with the administration. It allows staff, we feel that these changes also allow staff to better monitor, report on, and make budget recommendations on grant programs for future budgets as well. Other than that, there's a proposed grants policy with changes in your package as well. Included in that policy this go around is in Appendix A, which is a list of guidelines for each of the grant programs. So I'll take any questions that council may have.
So we have a recommended motion that council approve the amended grants policy 15-11. And I have a motion to approve that. Councilor Redmond, second by Councilor Lee. Councilor Strong. Any questions? Yep, Councilor Redmond.
Thank you for doing this, and I'm hoping that this is going to make things a lot smoother for staff and for council themselves, and hats off to you. Thanks.
Is there any other questions? I just have a quick comment. I too really like the idea of structuring and breaking it down into separate groups and making it easier to determine grants. I think it'll be a lot of help. I've expressed a little bit of concern over the administration of the smaller ones, just because them are the people that we deal with in our districts from week to week. But we'll see. Obviously, it's not an issue for all of council because we left it in there. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see what kind of complaints we get with that part, and it may run perfectly smooth. So, what's that? Or compliments, yeah. No, I have full ability, and your ability to be able to make the right choices here. I'm going to forward the phone calls to you if you don't. So, so if there's no other questions, all those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Peter. 5.5, tax reduction and exemption policy. Director Amy Hurdle is going to lead us with this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was brought before council last week at the Committee of the Whole. It is a policy that comes before council every year. There are a couple changes to it beyond the dates. There were a couple recommended additions for a couple properties from Tidnish Crossroads Community Association and United Church of Canada. Both were previously churches, and one has transferred to the Tidnish Crossroads Community Association, and the other has been turned into affordable housing. And I will take any questions if there are any.
Okay, we have a recommended motion that council approve the tax reduction and exemption policy as amended, with the additions being retroactive to April 1st, 2025. Do I have a mover? Moved by Councilor Redmond, second by Councilor Fromm. Questions? Quiet bunch today. Another good job, huh? Okay, so hearing the motion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. What's that? Maybe, I don't know. Section 6, business issues. 6.1, transfer of PIDs 25061961 and 25061987, Joggins Log Cabin, and Director Ali McCormick is going to lead us with this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Included in your council package is a memo outlining the proposed land transfers of PIDs 25061961 and 25061987 at 30 Highway 242 Joggins to the Joggins Improvement Committee. The parcels of land on which the Joggins Log Cabin is situated was previously owned by the Joggins Improvement Committee, but was transferred to the municipality as the committee at that time was unable to maintain the property. The committee has now expressed interest in reacquiring the property, and staff are recommending the two parcels of land be transferred to the committee at no cost. To comply with Section 51 of the Municipal Government Act, a public hearing was scheduled, duly advertised, and held on December 17th. And one written submission was received that was in opposition of the land transfer, and a copy of that submission was included in your council package. And I'm happy to answer any questions from council.
Thank you. So we have a recommended motion, a lengthy one, whereas council considers the transfer of PIDs 25061961 and 25061987 at 30 Highway 242 Joggins, Nova Scotia to the Joggins Improvement Committee to be beneficial to the municipality of the County of Cumberland. Therefore, be it resolved that council approve the sale of the said lands and the Joggins Improvement Committee at no cost, and that mayor and CAO be authorized to execute the necessary documentation. Can I have a mover for that? Councilor Lee, second by Councilor Strong. Questions?
I have one.
Our CAO has a question.
Question and then a comment. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we absolutely have the name of the organization correct? I know there was some back and forth. Yes? Perfect. Thank you. The other just comment is that Section 51 requires that this motion be passed by a 2/3 majority. So doing the math on the folks that are voting folks that are in the room today, we need 6 out of 8 votes for this to be carried.
So having said that, we'll do it by show of hands?
Yeah.
Okay. So, question? No. Oh, okay. So,
She's going to vote.
so all those in favor, raise your hand. I don't need to count. Passed by the majority or by unanimous decision.
Just maybe we can make a note in the minutes, Amanda, to say it passed by the required, unanimously by the required supermajority. Please.
So 6.2, transfer of a portion of PID 25417155 adjacent to 177 Lambs Hill Parsbro. Mr. McCracken is going to lead us, Deputy CAO, in this one. And Glenn, you might be on deck. I got to
Yeah,
slash Glenn
yeah.
here, I'm not sure.
Director Boone's definitely on deck, might as well bring him up. Just quickly, thank you, Mr. Chair. There was a motion passed on, or approved, on November 26, 2025 regarding this piece of property. And after some further discussions, there were some, I guess, complications, that arose that wouldn't allow for, that motion to be actioned. And so what we need to do is come back, and I know our CAO went, did some review of Robert's Rules of Order, and so the memo before you speaks to sort of the process that we need to get to recommend a new motion. So, whereas Council on November 26, 2025, approved the following resolution, the Council declare a portion of PID 25417155 off Lambs Hill Road surplus to municipal needs, and further direct staff to negotiate a purchase agreement with Douglas Meekins, the abutting landowner, and sell the property at $500 plus transaction costs. And whereas staff wishes to propose an amendment to the amount of the consideration to be received in return for the aforesaid property due to complications in the land registration process. And whereas Council, having discussed the issue at an in-camera meeting on January 22nd, 2026, wishes to consider the amendments, therefore be it resolved that Council approve the amendment of the original resolution by deleting the words at 500 and inserting the words for consideration of 0.
I'll have to read that again. What? So you all heard the motion. If I have the,
Just a comment, if I want to comment before you vote.
yeah. So if I can have someone to move that. Counselor Strong, second by Counselor Lockhart. Questions? And CAO has a comment.
Yep, so you'll notice in the agenda on page 3 that there's a bolded motion that's included in the section on this particular motion. That first bolded section is the original motion from back in November. It's just there for your reference. The real motion, the motion that's relevant today is those last 3 paragraphs. And the complication is that although council had agreed to sell this land at $500 to Mr. Meekins, the Land Registry, Nova Scotia Land Registration Act requires that when a property is being sold for consideration, we can't use the quit claim deed process. And so we're reducing consideration to 0 to be able to do that and do a quieting of titles. So that's the reason, that's why we're back here today. This motion as well, because it is amending a previously approved motion, and there's been no notice of motion given. A 2/3 majority is also required to pass this motion. Your Worship.
Yep. Counselor Redmond? I can't remember the motion. Can you read it? You can watch it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to bring to your attention that the meeting, the in-camera meeting, was actually, now that we've reread the motion, on the 21st of January 2026, not the 22nd. So if we could make that change, that would be great.
You get that? Do I have to get a new motion? No. So again, we'll do this by show of hands. So all those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. You were just a bodyguard, Glenn. Peter, you staying? I think, well, that's what I have you down for. 6.3, Equality and Diversity Advisory Committee Terms and Reference. And I've got Peter down for information. Advisory, sorry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Dismantling Racism and Hate Act requires prescribed public bodies like municipalities to develop and implement plans to support the act. And we've had an advisory committee advising us on the creation of an equity and diversity plan, which is also a requirement of the Acts, develop one every 3 years. Now that the plan is complete, we're recommending some changes to the terms of reference to the advisory committee to reflect their new role as more oversight and advisory capacity versus a plan development capacity. So there's amended terms of reference in your package for council's consideration and a recommended motion.
So the recommended motion is that council approve the terms of reference for the Equity and Diversion Advisory Committee. And I look for someone to approve that motion. Councillor McCormick, second by Councillor Lee. Questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. McCracken. 6.4, grant application. YMCA of Cumberland, and you're up again.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The municipality received a request from the YMCA Cumberland to help fund functional assessments of proposed renovations in addition to their existing building in Amherst. Council decided back when grants to organizations were being allocated earlier in the fiscal year that we'd keep a balance on hand to address some of these types of requests as they arise. There's currently enough funding in the county general grants budget to address this request if council so approves. There's a recommended motion in your package as well as some supporting documents, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So the recommended motion is that council approve the funding request for $9,000 from the YMCA of Cumberland. Can I have someone move that? Councillor Hotelling, second by Councillor Fromm. Questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. 6.5, Christie Smith Foundation request. Mr. McCracken.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The municipality received a request to serve as a funding intermediary between the Christie Smith Foundation and the River Hibbert Joggins Area Development Association for a $20,000 donation from the foundation to the community center. Since the association cannot accept and issue a charitable donation receipt, they're asking us to do that on their behalf and then provide them the funds once we receive them. We've done these things, as you know, in the past several times, and there's no financial impact for the municipality. It's something that we can legally do, and there's a recommended motion in your package.
So the recommended motion is that council approve the request for the municipality to receive $20,000 from the Christie Smith Community Foundation and disperse the funds to the River Hibbert Joggins and Area Development Association. I have someone move that motion. Councillor Lee, second by Councillor Strong. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 7, information items. Councillor recognition, and I understand Councillor Lockhart has something.
Yeah, I got it in too late. Yeah, I'd like to recognize Maritime Pressure Works from Spring Hill. I was down, gave them a certificate a couple weeks ago. 45 years in business in our area. 3 generations work there now. Great company, does a lot for our community and along with everywhere in Cumberland County, River Hibbert, Joggins. So give them congratulations. I also like to congratulate the Collingwood Fire Department on a very successful year-end banquet a couple weeks ago. I was in attendance with Tori Rushton. We had a very nice evening, and they're working very hard out there and looking forward to the new golf resort in that area. And I just want to give the last shout out to the Public Works in Spring Hill, through Justin over there. What a great job in this storm. Actually, yesterday I was talking to our CAO, Greg, and I was driving to Amherst, and he said, how are the roads? I said, well, I just left Spring Hill, by the carpet factory, and they were bare. And now I'm in the county and they're not bare. So couldn't have done a better job. So congratulations. Thank you.
That carpet factory comment just kind of dates you, I'm just saying.
And Spring Hill is the county now too, so we'll correct that. Anyone else have any other comments? Seeing none, I'll look for someone to adjourn the meeting. Counselor Frome, meeting adjourned. Thank you.